All right, so let's do some number testing here with the Garmin R-10 versus the Uneekor QED. Let's hit a fade with a pitching wedge. That was a awful strike. That was not good. We have an 88 spin versus an 85, 93 carry versus 91. Uneekor had it kind of spinning back a little bit. So let's try that shot again. It's actually hit better contact this time. Oh, that was chunky. Look at that ball flight though. Exact same. 118 versus 114. 76 spin versus 83 spin. Definitely, again, not a good strike. Let's actually hit one here. That was better, but it was still fat. 86 spin versus 87. Different ball flights on those two, so that's interesting. Actually, for the testing that I've been doing, I've not been seeing that very often. The Uneekor seems pretty accurate, and the Garmin normally matches up pretty good with it. That is a little bit of an outlier there. But again, spin numbers pretty dang close. We have 112 versus 114. Let's try it again. Make sure this metal dot's on the front. There we go. That was my better strike. Okay, exact same ball flight. 75 versus 86. Definitely a difference there. 127 versus 123. Just the spin was off a little bit on that one, but honestly, I see the spin closer than I do farther off. So that is all right. Let's hit a draw this time. Okay. Definitely see a little bit of a draw on the Awesome Golf flight there. You can see it's kind of coming back a little bit, but not very much. 75 spin versus 78. 126 carry versus 123. The only complaint that I have is the ball flight. I mean, it's just a little bit off. But it's still pretty accurate on what it is. Let's move to a 7-iron. Let's hit the fade. Okay. Look at that, exact same ball flight. 58 spin versus 69 spin. 157 versus 152. But shape was almost identical. Let's do a draw. Big draw. Again, the Awesome Golf just doesn't have the curve as much. 56 spin versus 57. 150 versus 56. Come on, that's pretty good. Make sure my mic's still on. It likes to turn off on me. Now let's hit a hybrid. Let's go change this to a 4 hybrid. Get back. All right, let's hit this draw shot again. Or sorry, fade shot. Okay, exactly. Nearly the same ball flight, just not as exciting on the Awesome Golf. I definitely curved that ball a lot. Awesome Golf had it similar, just not as much. 4,000 spin versus 45. 211 carry versus 202. Let's hit a draw this time. Oh, the club about fell out of my hands. But that's a good one to see the difference. So we have 3,000 versus 44. So the ball flights were completely different, but the ball was absolutely, I mean, I couldn't tell you what that did. Either one of those could be right. So let's ignore that one. Let's hit that draw. Never really came back. And again, exact same ball flight on both. 27 spin versus 42. We got a difference there. 189 versus 193. That's still not incredibly off. Been having a hard time drawing this club lately. Let's slow this swing down. Oh, that was garbage. But again, similar, just not as exaggerated as what would have really happened with the QED. 35 spin versus 26, 164 carry versus 147, but it wasn't a good strike anyway, so I don't really care that that's off by that far. I mean, I hit half of that shot was half mat, half ball, so let's get a frickin' draw. There we go. Okay, what we got? 42 spin versus 29. 205 carry versus 208. Again, just not as much curve on the ball. That's my only complaint. I mean, I can't, that's all I can dock it for is it's just not curving that much. Let's hit driver here. See if I can hit a draw, a fade, and then I'll try to hit one straight, which doesn't ever happen, but all right, let's hit this fade. Well, I should say slice, sorry. That was gonna curve a lot, yeah. Again though, pretty similar numbers, 28 versus 25. 160 carry versus 161. Just more exaggerated on Uneekor. That's the only difference. Let's try that shot again, but try to make it go straight. Well, not straight, but playable, we'll say. All right, that's better. Okay. The Uneekor is definitely right on that. The Garmin has me hitting a little tiny draw. Look at the carry numbers though. 256 versus 255. 29 carry versus 31. That is insane. That was just somewhat of a fluke misread there. It just had it going the wrong way. So let's see what we got here. Yeah. It just had the path off by 1 degree, which made it curve the opposite direction. Let's hit a draw. We got a big swinger coming back, and it just doesn't come back as much inside of the Awesome Golf. 26 spin versus 2000 spin. 259 carry versus 274. The 274 is probably a little closer. And 296 total. Make sure my mic's still on because this thing's been cutting off on me. All right, one more. This is the one I'm gonna try to hit straight. Nope. Lost it out to the right. Except in Awesome Golf land, I hit it dead straight. Well, we got number-wise, 236 versus 251, 29 versus 34. A little bit of discrepancy on that one. Well, a little bit, a lot. All right, let's hit that straw again. See if I can really exaggerate this. Okay, definitely on Uneekor. I mean, it definitely drew on Awesome Golf, but nothing amazing. 206 carry versus 247, 28 versus... Okay, backspin of 5,000 on Uneekor is wrong. So, imagine that. We got a system that cost cost $7,000 versus one that cost $600, and the 600's right, not the Uneekor. Let's try just a good draw this time. Okay, look at that, almost identical, just not enough. 250 carry versus 258. Backspin 16 versus 32. I definitely hit it high on the face. I felt that real high on the face, so it would be a low spinner. Versus 32, but I mean, that's still not bad. Let's see what we got with club head speed 101 versus 100. That's almost the same. 143 ball speed versus 145. 17 launch versus 16.3. That is, look at that smash. 1.4 versus 1.4. All right. Last test. We're going to try to kill a golf ball and see what happens. I can tell you what's probably going to happen. The ball's going to go nowhere. Nowhere good anyway. Ugh. Okay, we have a big swinger left. 237 carry versus 272, but it just never curved. That's the difference between the two shots. Club head speed 108 versus 106. But here's what's interesting. The club head speed went up almost 4 miles an hour when I was trying to hit harder. So that's telling me that it's actually coming up with some pretty accurate numbers. Like if I said I was trying to kill the ball and it was the same speed as the other ones, then something's wrong somewhere. So that is good. I'm happy to see that. The ball flights on those were not close to each other, but some of the numbers are. All right, let's try to hit one good drive. Too much. Oh, way too much. 159 carry versus 156. Again, the ball's just not curving as much. But then again, it didn't get club path either. That might be the reason. 22 spin versus 28. So spin becomes a little bit more erratic with the driver, but it's not like way, way off. 151 ball speed versus 149.9. 102 versus 103, but you round them, they're the same. Let's see, launch angle 15.6. Launch angle 13, so a little bit of a difference there. That's still very, very, very impressive. Wow. I can tell you this. I don't see $6,400 difference between these two. If you play a straight ball, the Garmin's going to be exactly right all the time. But if you play curves with slices and fades, like I do, because I can't hit a straight golf ball, so I have to try to control how I'm going to move the ball every time. Okay, very similar again, just not as exaggerated. 260 versus 252. 3,000 versus 31 on backspin. All right, one more ball. All right, let's play the same shot again, but a playable fade. Okay, look at that. Almost the same. 271 carry, 261 carry. 28 versus 23. 14 launch versus 13 launch. That is... So, out of all those shots that I hit, I would say that more than half, more than 3/4 was right. Very cool. All right, so that is the test with the Garmin Approach R-10 versus the QED. I guess we have a couple minutes here. Let's do a couple wedges just to see what happens. Okay, let's move this to a wedge. Back. Just a little tiny swing there. A little bit of the difference. Let's see. Okay, my Garmin got moved a little bit by that last golf ball. It shifted it some, so that could be the reason for that last shot. Let's get it straightened back up. Let's try it again. Let's see what our spin numbers are. 59 versus 74. Let's try it again. Ooh, two big different ones there. 79 versus 54. Carry 68 versus 68. Let's see which one that was, because this ball, the dots are coming off this ball, so Uneekor can do some funky things. Let's do a drawy swing. Okay, Uneekor was good. Just not enough spin coming back on the Garmin. 61 versus 58. 30 launch versus 30 launch. Let's do a really hard 50, this is a 60? It's 60 degree, okay. Really hard 60 degree. Well, hard for me. 83 versus 84, 77 versus 81. The only thing that didn't happen was it didn't come back in the Garmin. So that's the only complaint of the Garmin. The ball just doesn't curve like it should, unless it needs that face path information to make it curve. That's probably the case, if I had to guess. So let's try that shot again and see if I can get that face path to come up this time. Nope, missed another one. 78 spin versus 8,000. Similar ball flights though, just not as much curve again. 93 versus 88. I mean, there's nothing wrong with using this in your garage. Just know that the ball's going to be spinning a little bit more than what you're seeing on the app. So, interesting. Pretty impressed still though. Let's chip shot. Look at that, chip shot, 19 versus 20, 38 versus 36. So, on that shot that I just hit, the $6,400 difference between these two doesn't matter one bit, because they're almost identical. No, they weren't. 16 carry, all total was 19. 16 carry versus 20 carry. But honestly, pretty impressed with the Garmin. $73 versus 70, 49 versus 78. Two big spin numbers different there. Okay, well, that is the Garmin versus the Uneekor QED. What's my overall thoughts? I guess I'll shut all this down while I'm thinking about that. The Uneekor is a very good system. The only times I have any problems with the Uneekor is when I am trying to use a golf ball that has the the stickers beat off of it, like this one. Like this is the one I've been using. So let's see if we can see. See how there's like half a sticker there and half a sticker there? That's not good. That can mess with your numbers. So the Uneekor is a very good system. The Garmin Approach R-10 is a very good system, but they're in two separate categories. But they're pretty close to each other on a lot of the numbers. However, the curvature is just not as much. And the only way that would really screw you up is if you were playing in your garage all winter long with the Garmin and you thought you were hitting straight golf balls. And then you get out on the course and realize those are like pretty big snap hooks or big slices. So you would have to definitely keep that in mind. But I would say I've used the Mevo Plus, I've used the SkyTrack. The Garmin so far is my favorite of the ones cheaper than the QED. The QED is been my favorite so far because it's very accurate and it's easy to use and I trust what it's telling me. The Mevo Plus I had a bunch of problems with. Didn't like it as much as I do the Garmin. Now, the price of it probably has something to do with that too, because the price of the Garmin is like a quarter, third-ish of the Mevo Plus. So between the Garmin and the Mevo, if you're only indoors, pretty similar. I had the same problem with the Mevo. I couldn't make the Mevo curve as much as I make the ball curve. And the Garmin's kind of the same thing. So I don't know if it's just the software or it's the data that it's coming up with based off the club and the ball. But I mean, the Garmin, 2 thumbs up on the Garmin. Let's thumbnail.